Geneticist cannot predict the future. He can only study the dynamics of the processes as they occur. Prejudice against mixed marriages may lessen. Illegitimate births of mixed matings might increase. The very existence of a more mixed population may speed further intermixture.
Will we produce organisms that are potentially harmful to human beings and that cannot be controlled? If we were to create such beings, what would they be? Would they be human? Would they be animal? Would they have any rights? Most people would suggest that we will use these techniques when they are developed only for the correction of obvious defect. And yet, for decades and even centuries, women have been considered, by definition, defective. Who defines what is a defect?
And it's my prediction that we will have identified hundreds of genes that predispose to many of the common diseases today. Certainly cancer, certainly cardiovascular diseases, a lot of the neurologic diseases. But we will be able to put this information into a computer and read out disease susceptibilities. And of course, the real key is that for each of those, we want to have a preventive measure that allows you to circumvent the limitation of your gene.
In debates around reproductive and genetic technologies, a bright line is often drawn between good forms of therapy, like curing sickle cell, and bad forms of enhancements, like selecting skin or eye color. Not only is the line porous, there's vigorous resistance on the part of many disability justice advocates who aren't interested in the cures that are promoted in their name. It's also the case that conditions like sickle cell disease, that are often on the good therapy side of the line, contain a recessive trait that actually confers some resistance to the much more widespread threat of malaria. It's possible that if people select against sickle cell traits, this would erode the protective function for which it evolved.
If we just talk about gene editing for genetic disease, the question becomes relatively easy. Okay, someone has a disease and we want to cure them. It's a little bit easier than saying, well, what about prevention of disease? So for example, there are genes that you can edit in the body that will prevent heart attacks, basically. Hair color and intelligence, those are not really on the table right now. We don't understand what makes someone more intelligent or taller or anything like that. But we do know single genes that could be edited that would render someone HIV resistant. Are those things that should be on the table? If we say yes to one, the question is, how do we keep people from doing the other?
What's regulation for? This is a typical party that lots of IVF units done. This is a party we held in our unit for a bunch of 5-year-olds and their parents. If 40 years ago you'd said IVF is a step too far, we should stop it, which many people did, then a lot of these parents would have remained infertile and none of these children would have been born. So I'll leave you with that food for thought.
In Iceland, Down syndrome is almost eliminated. There is not agreement that this is good. Sociologist Kitty Felker interviewed mothers of children with Down syndrome. They reported that before their babies were born, clinicians stressed the horrors of life with disabilities, while the families themselves described the satisfactions of raising disabled children. Some expressed reservations with the idea of admission standards, which seems to have the effect of reducing humans to their DNA.
Gus goes there.